Never judge a sausage by its skin, said my mother when I was a child. She knew of what she spoke. Her grandfather, a bit of a toff, was also a rat of the first order. He dressed and spoke beautifully, but was utterly feckless. He gambled the family money away on horses and then bolted himself, leaving behind his wife and children. With no means of support, my great-grandmother opened a shop and managed to scrape by. When, 20 years later, her errant husband returned, instead of barricading the door she let him in. He spent his final years in comfort, living off her hard-earned cash. Clearly, as well as being a scoundrel, he had charm. There are more than a few who fall into my great-granddad's mould, well-presented, poshly spoken and persuasive in every respect. As the upward trajectory of the former Bullingdon Club boy Boris Johnson shows, we seem never to learn that appearances can be deceptive. Put a plum in someone's mouth and most of us think they're cleverer than we are. It's on this principle that parents send their kids to fee-paying schools, paying eye-watering sums in order for them to learn to behave as if they were born to rule. You can scoff at the notion that class still matters, but a glance at the Twitter sphere ahead of the election shows that the age-old British caste system is still in rude health. Indeed, according to a recent survey from Yale University, interviewing panels judge a job applicant's suitability within 7 words of them speaking. In a blind experiment, would-be lab assistants were asked to describe themselves verbally. The interviewers listened to the recordings without the benefit of any CVs. As a result, those with plummier, more expensively educated voices were automatically deemed more competent than the rest. These findings are troubling, yet are they really any surprise? When I was at St Andrews University, it took me 2 years to realize that the phalanx of Hooray Henrys from Rodine, Harrow and the like, were no brighter than the rest of us, and in some cases considerably less so. You might say that to be so easily persuaded of my intellectual inferiority in itself marks me down as rather dim, especially since I was brought up to hold the landed gentry in anything but esteem. Yet as was evident in my student days, in one sense at least, those who had gone to independent schools generally enjoyed 2 marked advantages: an impregnable veneer of confidence, and voices that could be heard even when Nimrod jets were roaring overhead from Lucas. The persistence of deference or exaggerated respect for those on society's higher rungs is hard to explain. Are we essentially pack dogs, bred to function best in a hierarchy, to cower and fawn before the loudest bark? Well, even if that is the case, 150 years of growing political enlightenment and educational leveling ought surely to have mad for more on this story. Visit the news article link.